2. Welcome back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. I am surrounded by purple and the purple rope lights that I have here and the glow of purple all over Baltimore. The Tennessee Titans are coming to Baltimore to try to wreck our 2020 here this week. Rhett Bryant is a multi-time guest here at WNST. Husband, proud father, and the executive producer of Game Day and host on the Titans Radio Network. You can find him at Rhett B. Tennessee. Out on the Twitter land, and still got Mariota up on the front of your Twitter, Red. I would say for the Tannehill thing and what's happened here, and Derrick Henry and beating the Patriots up in Foxborough, pretty unlikely set of circumstances here from where you guys were 10, 12 weeks ago.
Yeah, Nestor, it's actually a reminder of where this season has gone for the Titans. One, I didn't have the heart to take it down because Marcus, regardless of what he's done on the field, he is off the field a Hall of Fame human being. He's
Everyone says that.
Person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy I hope my daughter brings home to meet us. That's the kind of deal I would say for him. But I just didn't have the heart to take it down off my Twitter banner. But, it's unbelievable how this has turned. And you go back to week 6, the Titans are at Mile High playing the Denver Broncos, a bad Denver team, as we all know. And they're trailing in this game, and it's about 8 minutes left in the third quarter, and we see Ryan Tannehill warming up on the Titans sidelines. And we thought, okay, here we go, because Marcus had played poorly in that game. He had not played well in the weeks prior to that. And he was brought in and completed some, balls here and there, but it was just too late. The Titans get blanked in that game 16-0. And the following week, Tannehill is inserted as the starter. And Mariota goes to the bench in this deal. And with the classic line that all coaches say when a change like this is made at a major position, we're looking for that spark. Well, the spark has come from number 17 and what he's been able to do in helping that offense. Now, you didn't see it as much in the wild card game against New England. They only passed the ball 15 times, but New England didn't have an answer for Derrick Henry, who's, I'm sure you're going to ask me about, who had a monster game and has had a monster end of this season, much like he did in 2018.
He had a monster college career. I mean, I watch college football.
Yeah.
I remember no one in the SEC wanting to tackle him, and it sort of looked that way Saturday night, which, feels like that's what I thought it was going to look like in the NFL. Very Jamal Lewis-y kind of,
Right, and he's one of those that you mentioned a Jamal Lewis, who's the same kind of workhorse in this thing where the later it gets, the more carries that he gets. He doesn't get tired. He seems energized by it. And those guys that are trying to tackle him are the ones that are going, oh, God, here we go again. Here comes this big beast downhill. And that is just, obviously a huge moment in helping take the Titans to the next level and obviously coming to play Baltimore in the divisional round. But Ryan Tannehill, getting back to him for a second, there were games this year after he took over as starter where he would throw the ball to as many as 10 different receivers, which is something you just don't think of when you think of Titans football. It's been 3 yards in a cloud of dust, a good defense, yada, yada. But, I mean, he's gotten everyone involved. If you look at the stat sheets, the second, third, and fourth receivers all have over 25 catches in this thing. And the Titans, production-wise, on the most important part of it, the scoreboard, has gone up astronomically. They used to, it was, like I said, run and defense and, squeak out 17 points and hope that you hold your opponent to less than that. Well, in those 10 games that he started, Titans averaged over 30 points a game on offense, which is unheard of, in our trend of things here in what has been Titans football for 20 years. There's very rarely been windows when it's been like that.
Well, we've felt that the Lamar factor here going back to last year, right, where we're in 2nd and 1 and 2nd and 2 all the time. And, I've watched football all weekend long, and I'm watching Josh Allen throw the ball backwards and playing hot potato. And, these teams that are eating in 2nd and 13 and 2nd and 15 and look like their offense is running in quicksand versus Lamar Jackson, Rhett. So, you've watched this from afar through what was thought to be a pretty mediocre season by the Titans, and Lamar has become sort of must-see TV. I haven't spoken to anybody that hasn't seen him play several times because of Monday night and Thursday night and the opportunities he's had. Now it's Saturday night, and the one thing that even Eric Weddle said to me in L.A. 8 weeks ago, and there's a guy that practiced against him all last year and then had to go figure out how to tackle him, is that you can't see where the ball's going, and you don't know the speed. You can't feel the speed till you're out there. I don't know what can be done to replicate that. I'm sure Marcus Mariota is going to be running scout this week and whatnot, but there's something about the speed of it and the deception of it that has really entangled other teams, and certainly early. And coming into this hell house, this purple hell house we got waiting for you on Saturday night, the town's all cooked up, dude. I've been here from the beginning. I've never seen the orders. I mean, I'm going down to Miami to pick these places because there's so much interest in it here in a way that even during Ray Lewis and Flacco and whatnot, that this thing's really building to something on Saturday night because of how special this kid is.
He is the thing that has probably kept the Titans coaches up since they came back from New England, and much like anybody else that has played him this season, there's not enough adjectives for me to put down with you here on what you think of when you see this young man play. And at 22 years old, it's just absolutely incredible. And you mentioned the hell house that's waiting for us. You know, the last time the Titans played there in the playoffs was January 3rd, 2004. It was a very tight ball game.
Yeah, I remember
defense versus defense. You know, Eddie got his shoulder knocked out of place. He got harnessed back up. He put Ray on the ground in a game I'll never forget. You know, Gary Anderson at 46 years old kicks a 46-yard field goal, and the Titans sneak out of there with a win. That crowd it's always loud when you go there, but I don't think I'm ready for what I'm about to hear and see because of the electricity around this offense and this young man who I have no doubt will be the league's most valuable player and what he has been able to put together in this 2019 season. It'll be interesting to see him up close and in person. Yeah, I've seen him plenty of times because you guys have played on primetime football, but I can't wait to see what this is like. And that's not taking anything away from the Baltimore defense, which keeps you up at night, and one of the most accurate kickers in the history of the league in that phase with special teams with the Ravens as well. But he is dynamic. People think that a Michael Vick and a Randall Cunningham and all the names you can think of with those kinds of skill sets were special, but this guy's creating a new level of special himself.
Rhett Bryan is our guest. You can find him at Rhett B Tennessee, along with Coach Mack, doing some Mack talk there down in the Music City. And Mack went on some sort of a mission to find Lamar Jackson, didn't he? And there's some story about that.
You know what? I don't know what the story about that is. I need to circle back with him. Of course, Coach Dave McGinnis, you're referring to, knows everyone in the world, has never met a stranger. And, I'm sure that he has some fantastic story that I'll get him to share with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently he's done some more scouting on Lamar and is a big Lamar fan. And I think anyone from an X's and O's standpoint, anyone who has to stop this at the pro level, most professional people said this couldn't be done, that you could not run this kind of offense in the NFL successfully long-term to the tune of winning 12 games in a row, the way they've been winning the games, and the way it helps the defense and the lopsidedness of what 8 and 9 minute drives do to shorten football games. I think everyone who's a tactician of the game or a student of the game is sitting up and saying he's doing something that people said could not be done, therefore they never attempted to do it.
Yeah, and that's why people said it would never work, because it's never worked before. I mean, I think that's the biggest part of all of this. Now, I'll tell you this. Coach Dave McGinnis, during the Titans bye week, obviously we weren't doing a game, so he went to Baltimore and did a national game.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I thought. That.
Yeah, he did it with Sports USA and with Larry Kahn, and that was the Texans game.
Okay.
And, of course, I was watching it on television and listening to Coach Mack do it on his first national game.
Well, that was a hell of a day right there. That was a pretty good day for the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, my gosh. He came back and he said, "Hey, Rhett, listen.
I have seen the future."
this dude, and and here's how you know when Coach Mack respects a player. He goes, that guy that was playing quarterback for them? I said, yeah. He said, that guy is a dude. That's a dude right there. When you're a legit player in this league, Coach Matt calls you a dude. He said, we're going to have to reckon with that dude at some point in time, and I ain't looking forward to it.
Well, Red, I mean, it's Dean Pease, right? So he was retired for about 5 minutes until Vrabel called and got the job at 2 years. I don't know that there's any bad blood, but I think it's sort of like weird sideways blood, if that matters. And and obviously the whole Deflategate and beating the Patriots. I mean, that's one more pelt on Dean Pease's wall through all of this thing. Some thoughts about Pease scheming it up. I mean, you've pointed out they're going to be up late into the night. Mike Vrabel, the defensive mind that he is, up all night trying to figure this out.
Well, and you're right. You know Coach Pease from his time there in Baltimore, and what he's meant to that franchise and his window that he was there, and he's certainly respected throughout the league. And, his whole deal, and he said it from the day one when he got the job here after he retired for 5 minutes, as you mentioned, that it's front multiplicity, multiple fronts in this defense. He's going to throw a lot of things at you. And he was effective against Tom Brady in showing sneaky things up front, knowing he'd seen everything in the world, and then getting set as the ball is snapped, and he was able to shut out the Patriots in the last 2 quarters of that game, which was huge, and ended up being the difference in the whole thing. He is at the blackboard trying to draw something up in this, I'm sure. The key for the Titans defense in this, though, is Jayon Brown, the third-year linebacker from UCLA, number 55 for the Titans, went out in that game in Foxborough in the first quarter with a shoulder injury. Don't know what the extent of his injury is. The Titans must have him. He is that, like most linebackers in the league now, smaller, can support the run, drop back in coverage, and is, a 220-pound back that can move all over the place, and as you can plug into places when you need him. They've got to have him versus Lamar Jackson or whoever else in this thing. And I hear, Mark Ingram is going to be back from his ankle, and, that's another problem. And then the 3 tight ends that they have are a huge deal in this thing. And then, of course, there's Hollywood Brown who can break the top off of it. So he's got his homework cut out for him. I am sure there will be lots of long nights at St. Thomas Sports Park in Nashville here, and he will have to try to figure it out. This is, beating the Patriots is one thing. Running into this juggernaut that people have not figured out yet is another.
Well, I'm glad you figured out that Lamar is a dude. Rhett Bryan hosts all sorts of things in Tennessee on the Titans radio network. You can follow him at Rhett B Tennessee out on Twitter as well. And for Vrabel, and I've talked to everybody. I'm a big fan of leadership. If there's nothing I've done in my time doing this is trying to study leadership and why it works. And Harbaugh surviving last year and now into another quarterback and into a 14-2. I mean, John Harbaugh coaches ass off, and I see the likes of Sean Payton and Bill Belichick out of the tournament here all of a sudden, and this manifest destiny of Andy Reid and John Harbaugh going against each other in the same way that Vrabel went back as the student beating the master and all that stuff. He might even see O'Brien if they beat the Ravens this week. Vrabel and the decision to hire him and the difference in the franchise after the patriarch is passed in moving past the Vince Young thing and trying to fresh start this thing with John Robinson. But I really see Vrabel as someone called him a leader of men, and I sort of concur with that from what I see.
I fully would agree with that. Just seeing, for a small micro example, last week heading into that wild card game with the Patriots. He'd been there. He'd done that. He was a captain on their defense, 3-time world champion as a part of the early run of their dynasty, caught touchdowns from Tom Brady in Super Bowls. Dean Pease called him the smartest player he'd ever coached. And, that's saying something from a guy like Dean Pease, who's 70 years old, coached in the league many, many years, and had many talented players. But the way that he had those guys with their approach, they weren't too up, they weren't too down. That locker room at the Titans facility was as good as I had seen it in that setting. You'd never know they were in the playoffs and about to go play in Foxborough. I even said to several of the players, I'm like, guys, this is like it's like week 4 or week 6 in the regular season. He's like, yeah. and it's because we all expected to be here. It's another week. Yes, it gets tougher and it gets harder, but we're here to put in the work and go out there and go do it on the football field. But we knew we were going to be here. Coach Vrabel pretty much told us we were going to be here, and we all believed. They bought in, and all of that set the tone, and especially for that game in Foxborough. He called it going back to the Viper's Den because, you mentioned it, master, student, and student beat master. What he does against John Harbaugh, it ain't gonna be easy. John Harbaugh, you described him correctly. He's been around this league a long time, survived all that last year, has had a fantastic success with all three phases of his team this year. He's won 128 games in the regular season as a coach, or 128 in his career. He is not this in his first rodeo. But Mike Vrabel has really set the tone in this. And I think it helps so much because he has been in big moments. But don't forget, he started out as a third-round pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1997. And he was mostly a teams player in that, and had the opportunity to go to Foxborough in a bigger role and has made the most of it. He's a student of the game. He played the game. He played it well. I think the Titans have them one hell of a football coach. They really do.
Make me a case for them beating Lamar Jackson. And I mean, I think it's a Derrick Henry, can't stop him, can't tackle him, don't want to tackle. I don't think that'll be the case, and I certainly would think that if Tannehill has to go up in the air, this is the most formidable secondary that he's faced. The one thing for the Ravens, it's hard to not make a case for the Ravens based on the way they've played, as well as where their health is. In a general sense, they're as healthy as you would want a 14-2 team to be after a bye week, and they didn't skip out on the game against the Steelers. They beat the Steelers, with their second string, in a game the Steelers really needed. So they've literally checked every box. The one thing they haven't had to do is come from a couple touchdowns down late in the game and really have to try to do that because they've been so good early in the game. That's just one of the things that's been off the table.
And the other thing, too, when you talk about the environment there, they've waited for forever to have the number one seed and have it go through their house.
Oh, it's 24 years of my PSLs, Rhett. 24 years.
Right. And so the electricity will be there. But now, as to how they neutralize Lamar Jackson, if they're able to do that, is beyond me because nobody has really done it yet. They really haven't. And like I said, the respect level for all three phases of that team and its head coach and that staff, and Wink Martindale on defense for them. It's, what he does with how he disperses those, secondary dudes and trading for Marcus Peters like they did, and how he has become basically the leader of that back end of the defense, and just everything they're able to do. Matt Judon scares the crap out of me. I mean, this guy's going to be one of the highest paid free agents here in a few weeks. That he's going to make Zadarius Smith look like a kindergarten party in terms of money. It's just an incredible matchup this week, chess-wise, just to see how this thing plays out. And certainly it's in the Baltimore Ravens' favor. They're playing with house money. But you're right. They've never played in a situation where they've been down 2 touchdowns, none of that. And so I don't know how they do it, but if they do, it will be unbelievable.
I'm heading down to Miami, and it's not for the palm trees and the drinks and the grouper here this week. Hopefully in anticipation of a victory over Rhett Bryant's Tennessee Titans. They come north here in sort of an unlikely role. I mean, we talk so much about the history of these teams. There's very little of that still left, right, of the Eddie George, Ray Lewis thing on our end. Maybe some fans 20 years later, and it's crazy that it's been 19 years, right? 19 years this week, literally. We will see plenty of that in the pregame, and I'm sure, and they'll talk to Ray, and we'll talk to players, and Coach Billick's on this side of me, and Art Modell's on the other side of me. I have all those fond memories, but this was a fun little rivalry at one point, and it's nice to rekindle that every now and again.
Well, and you're right. For the younger generation of both fan bases, the older folks, the folks that have been around, like you said, 24 years as a PSL
Calling me an older folk. Damn, I never wanted to be an older folk, man. What the hell has happened to me, man? I'm 51 now. I remember when 51 used to be older folk. Now that I'm 51, it's not older folk anymore.
No, everything's relative. You're correct. But you have to remind folks that they were in the old AFC Central Division, and they used to beat each other up 22 times a year, and then in the playoffs a couple times. And I can tell you right now, the fan base here has been on the short end of that stick too many times. In 2000, in 2008, and in 2008, it was exactly what they were, what the Ravens are facing. Here's the number one seed. They started out 10-0. They finished 13-3. They got the number one seed. They're hosting Baltimore in the divisional round, and CJ2K Chris Johnson is taken out early in this thing after he had a very good first quarter and a half. He was busting towards 100 yards easy, and then they stole one and left. And in 2000, they really stole one and left. People haven't forgotten that, and I'd say there's a lot of the folks in the Ravens fan base that are the same way. But it was a very good rivalry for a few years early on, especially as it became the Titans and they moved to Tennessee from Houston. There's some of the most memorable games that I can remember in the 430 some odd I've done on Titans radio. It was always slugfest. It was 13-10 or 14-9. It was just oddball scores, almost like you'd hear an ALCS baseball game, playoff baseball game type score. And it was just a 15-round heavyweight fight, and whoever landed the last punch was probably the winner in the thing. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a heck of an atmosphere, and I think you dubbed it right. It's the hell house that's coming for the Titans. They have to try to ignore the noise and try to get it done.
Well, pack your barbecue. We'll make sure you don't get a tourist crab cake at Fadley's while you're in here. We'll go over to get you over to Costas or Al's, get you someplace local and legit, and bring it in. We had to play somebody. I mean, we thought it might have been Houston, thought it might have been Buffalo. Bring them on. We got Lamar. We're 14-2. We feel sort of invincible. We'll see if we are at 8:15 on Saturday night. Rhett, appreciate the time, brother. Take care.
Nestor, thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
You got it. Rhett Bryan joining us here. He is Rhett. That's RHETTB, Tennessee. Rhett B, Tennessee. Game day host of the Titans Radio Network. You can follow him out on Twitter. You can find me out on the buy, Toyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day. From anywhere in the world, you can watch us out on our WNSTV YouTube channel, as well as out on our Facebook Live. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Snapchat and Instagram. I'm heading down to Miami. If you're interested in joining us for Super Bowl festivities, if the Ravens can win these two games, we are putting together events, parties, packages, trips, tickets, all that kind of stuff. Throw me an email, nasty@WNST.net. What else do I have? Oh, Sam Cooke's joining us at Greenmount Station on Tuesday night. Come on out, meet Sam, say hello, hear that on the BuyAToyota.com audio vault if you're hearing this after Tuesday. Let's get ready for the Titans so that they don't remember the Titans. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, swathed in the purple glow of Festivus 3, where we never stop talking Baltimore sports.